Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Antebellum. This was written and directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz and stars Janelle Monáe, Jenna Malone, Jack Huston, Gabourey Sidibe and a variety of others. The film opens up in Civil War area, looking at Civil War and slavery. This is where we meet Eden, played by Janelle Monáe. She's a sort of slave who's stuck in this world, who ultimately tries to escape when we first meet her and she's recaptured. She's ultimately brutally abused in this particular opening sequence. And we see her world. We see that there's other African Americans there who've been acted as slaves. We see that there's some military there, that there's soldiers and stuff in the particular area, and it's all about keeping quiet, and it's all about them taking charge and being in control. And we see the brutality of that world and the things that happen in there, and it's just a harrowing experience for everybody involved. Then the film skips to present day. Then we meet Veronica, also played by Janelle Monáe. And she's this strong, very strong character. She's very educated. She's about fighting for equal rights for African Americans and African American women. And she's very in the public eye, and she's trying to change things. She's trying to make the world a better place. We find that she's married, has a husband and a little girl, and she's ultimately just trying to inspire people out there to change and to change the way that the world looks at race and sexism. And it sort of encompasses that. In this whole sequence, we get to see who she is and what she goes through. And ultimately, things are revealed here. Things aren't quite what they seem from when the film first began to when we see her in present day. There's an interesting element that happens here, and we get to see what's really going on. Then the film skips back to the Civil War era, and because of what we've learned, it changes our perspective on what's going on, and it's quite shocking because of what has transpired in the present day aspect of the film. It's really about Eden's fight for survival and trying to break free of the shackles that are upon her, and trying to make sense of what's going on, but also fighting for the people that are around her. Changed our perspective of who she is as well. And the third act of the film is quite extraordinary, what happens. And there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of rising up. There's a lot of fighting against oppressors. And looking at racism and sexism and what has transpired in the world and what is transpiring in the world. Which ultimately shows the film is quite a powerful film. There's quite a powerful message there that's very relevant of what's going on in the world. And I think this film really encompasses that, and it shows, Eden's this character that has to rise above everything. She has to bide her time. She has to find the right time to execute a plan and trying to escape from the world that she's been locked into. And there's a freedom that comes from her, and there's a power that comes out of her in these particular sequences, especially the third act of the film, that is just extraordinary to watch. I didn't know much about this film going in. I had seen a trailer not too long ago, and I thought it looked kind of interesting. To be honest, when the film first began, it's quite a brutal thing. It's quite a brutal world that we're introduced to, and the brutality that's set upon Eden is quite extreme and very graphic. It made me feel really uncomfortable, angry and sad all at the same time. I just didn't like what they were expressing here. I didn't like what we had to view. I thought it was very graphic and violent. And with everything going on in the world and the shape of the world, it's hard to watch these violent things in these days because we need lighter things. And so I struggled with the first part of the film, first 30 to 40 minutes, to the point that I was nearly preparing to walk out of the film because it was just too much. But I'm glad I didn't walk out of it. I stuck by because the story got kind of more and more interesting. There's a lot of questions raised, and you wanted to know the answers. You wanted to know what was going on. You wanted to know why it was skipping from Civil War era to present day and back again, and the implications of that, and how it was doing that. There was a lot of aspects to the film I really enjoyed, and there was an engagement with it. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know the mystery. What I will say first is, I don't think this film has been marketed very well. This film is not a horror movie. I know it's made out to look like that, and the trailer makes it look like that. There are horror-ish elements to it, but it's definitely not a horror film. It's something different. It's not quite what you expect. And I liked that. I thought it was refreshing. It took me a little while to get into it, like I said, because the violence and stuff that happens at the start of the film. But once I got into it, I really felt connected to the character. I thought all the acting was really solid in this. I thought that Jack Huston and Jenna Malone play really sort of evil characters in a way, very questionable characters. And there's a scariness and an unsettling feeling about them. And they both do a really great job here. And they serve a big purpose in the film, and it's kind of playing despicable characters. In a lot of what Jack Huston was doing, I was watching it thinking, if I was an actor, I couldn't do that. I couldn't play a character like that. That's just goes against how I feel. And that's a skill of him as an actor as well, I guess, to play a character that's kind of despicable. But he plays it in such a brilliant way. And the same with Jenna Malone. She's an underrated actress. She's been in a lot of things, and I think she's very talented. And I like that she tries different things and goes into different movies. And this is a great example of her talent and her ability to choose interesting, unique roles. Gabourey Sidibe appears in it, and she nearly steals the film for me. I think she's fantastic. She's very funny. She's a very strong character. You can really feel she's comfortable in and finding her stride as an actress, and she does a really great job. Has some really great one-liners and really fun moments, and her character really lightens up the film in many ways, and I thought she was fantastic to watch, and I think she's a brilliant actress. But the real standout here in the star is Janelle Monáe. She's just fantastic to watch. There's a strength to her, there's a power to her. She's a very powerful and no-nonsense kind of character, fighting for what's right. You don't quite know who she is to begin with, but you feel a connection with her because of the things that she's been through and the fact she's trying to escape. Then when we learn the truth, this has such more power. And you see her rise up, you see her go against what's going on and trying to break free of the situation she finds herself in. I think she's a skilled actress. She hasn't done a lot of acting, but she's really great in this, especially in the third act of the film. She's just so fascinating and visceral and raw and extraordinary to watch. And you really feel her for her plight. You really want her to escape. You really want her to accomplish her goals because she's such a great character. They form such a great connection that we had, especially with the beginning and the present day stuff. We really feel a connection to her. So when bad things happen to her, we care. We don't want to see her to get hurt or to be abused in any way. I think that's a really great way they connected the audience to this particular film. Not just by the creation of the character, but also by her acting and what she's able to bring to it. I think it has relevant themes in the film, talking about racism, how people are trying to change that, trying to change the way people look at these sort of things. Yeah, this is sort of a theme, but more of a great contrast between the Civil War era aspect of the film and the present day. They're both about characters trying to break the shackles of what's being told to them, what's being taught to them, what they've been forced to believe and think and feel. And it's really about them doing that within these two different periods. And I really loved that. I thought that was a really great aspect of the film. This film really was inspired by Gerard Bush, who ultimately had a nightmare about this. And to begin with, he was going to write a short story about it, but he was able to craft it into a film. And I think it's really great what he's able to do here. And it really feels real, and it is scary in that aspect. So it does have that horror element to it, because you do feel fearful that, imagine if you woke up in this particular world and going through these things like these characters did. It'd be quite a shock to the system and very scary. I think it's beautifully shot. There's some really great imagery in there, especially towards the end of the film. Ultimately, at the end of the film where Eden's trying to escape, just the visuals of that is really captivating and really pops on screen. I think technically it's solidly made. The camera works really good and it is used effectively. There's this really great opening sequence that's sort of made to look like one shot, whether it is or not, where you've got this tracking Steadicam shot that you go through and show everything that's going on. You show the house, you show where, the soldiers and what's going on. And then it moves in through, you see, the African-American slave area and where they live and moves through. And then we sort of learn more about what's going on just through imagery. There's no real dialogue here. We know that Eden's tried to escape with these two other people, and there's repercussions because of that, because they've been caught, and one of them tries to escape, and then what transpires there was a little bit of dialogue. But it's just a really interesting shot. It's an interesting way to sort of bring us into the world and show us what's going on through this one take. I really love the use of music here, very powerful and strong, and it emotes quite a powerful feeling for the audience as these scenes play out with this particular music. There's an unsettling aspect to the music, which I really like. And it's just, the music's just well executed and used particularly well in certain sequences. It's telling an interesting story. It's a captivating film. It's very relevant with its themes and social commentary, and I think it's a very powerful film in that regard. Final thoughts. In the essence, it's really about talking about relevant issues, social issues. It's looking at what people believe or come to believe or expect the world to be like. It's about breaking the shackles of what we've been told and forced to believe and come up with our own ideas, and ultimately trying to create equality. It's about strength. It's about fighting against wrongs in the world, or fighting against people being wronged, and finding your own direction and trying to make the world a better place, even in the smallest of ways. I think it was a powerful and slightly profound film, and I really was blown away by it. It's a film that stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it ever since I saw it. I'm going to give Antebellum 4 out of 5. I was blown away by this film. I thought it was very powerful and very relevant, and you really feel for the plight of the main character. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down at the bottom. Follow me on Facebook. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.